Can they get in?
Not for the moment.
We have been technologically building towards something for almost 30 years, disseminating the power of moving images into the control of every man, woman, and child. And this was all about momentum, not a specific endpoint, but I still think I found one. As with most awesome, it started in the mid-80s, with video cameras that captured moving images for a fraction of the cost of film. Video became digital, which could be even cheaper and look even better. We replaced expensive Avid rigs with nonlinear editing software that could run on a desktop. And when it established market saturation, digital started to reconfigure itself to mimic film more closely. Resolution expanded into the high-definition range, progressive scanning replaced interlacing as the standard, 30 frames a second became the more filmic 24, and sensor size increased enough to mimic that long-coveted depth of field. Red gave us a system for $30,000 that would have cost hundreds of thousands before. Canon released the 5D Mark II, a DSLR camera at $5,000 that shot HD video with a 35mm full-frame sensor. The gap between the professional and the emergent prosumer was becoming almost non-existent. It became harder and harder to immediately peg something as low budget, and optimistically this meant it could be taken on its own merits, not in spite of a visual prejudice. The benefits of dissemination cannot be overstated. Countless brilliant movies only exist because the cost of making them wasn't prohibitive enough to have to systematize them. So picking a poster boy is almost impossible. Almost. To me, nothing has ever captured the intoxicating freedom of the digital revolution better than our subject this week, the shocking, terrifying, romantic thriller, Birdemic. That Birdemic exists is unsurprising, given how many barriers to making a feature film we've nullified. What's surprising is that anyone knows about it, let alone that it sells out monthly screenings. Think how many would-be auteurs there are out there right now on journeys of disillusionment with no budget, no talent, and no clue. In a world where everyone and their grandmother has a movie in the works, this shouldn't be a commodity, but it is. How weird is that? The floodgates are open, but not only are great movies still a total rarity, transcendently shitty ones are too. How may be the first question that occurs to you when you watch Birdemic, but why is more interesting. Not why a movie like Birdemic got popular. I think over the past few months I've probably covered that somewhere. But why did Birdemic specifically get popular? You may be tempted to answer, duh, because it's really, really, really bad. But that's a superficial take. We can go deeper than that. Director James Nguyen undertook it as a personal passion project and a tribute to his hero, Alfred Hitchcock, who he still insists was the only film school he ever needed. Yeah, noble in theory, Birdemic in practice. Nguyen worked on his opus for 4 years, including 7 months of shooting on weekends. 7 months, and no one said anything. When what I'm sure was pure politics denied the film a screening at Sundance, Nguyen drove through the city with stuffed birds attached to his car and a sign that said, "Why did the eagles and vultures attacked?" along with a website. In a world teeming with self-satisfied flash mobs, this shouldn't work, but it did. Renting out a local theater for a screening, word of mouth eventually pushed Birdemic into cult status, and if you're imagining some smug 20-year-old with a camera and $12, instead imagine a Vietnamese guy in his 40s. Not only will it be more accurate, it's about 10 times funnier. Shakespeare would have had trouble finding language evocative enough to describe Birdemic's shortcomings. In fact, it's such a singular failure that I've just started using it as an adjective to describe a situation in which absolutely nothing went right. It's been a Birdemic day, or as an adverb, my last relationship ended Birdemically. Words fail me too, I know. The best I can do is say Birdemic is a Birdemic movie. But to give you some sense of it, I'm going to pick 3 completely arbitrary and random points in the runtime and let them play for 5 seconds each.
Companies like SunPower, Silicon Valley Solar, but the
I like sales. It fits my personality. Started out as a
So, let's ask why people go every month and sit down and watch this movie. What is it about Birdemic that makes it more popular than, say, Terror at Bloodfart Lake or Cheerleader Autopsy? And we're going to skip lightly over the surface, because stopping to make every joke would take approximately forever. And the first couple of minutes say it all, really. Generic and awkwardly repeating royalty-free music underscores endless establishing shots with segue to a Dutch angle out of windshield, including some blurry dashboard while the credits roll for almost 3 minutes straight. Finally, the car parks and we get a look at our hero, Rod, which begs the question, how do you fuck up someone walking down a sidewalk? Here's how. You hire an actor so bad he can't convincingly walk on camera, frame him dead center, give him too much headroom, shoot in harsh direct sunlight resulting in too much contrast, make him walk unnaturally slow to compensate for the cameraman walking backwards, have him stare awkwardly ahead trying to avoid looking at the lens, handhold the lightweight DSLR camera and keep part of the shot where he visibly slows down to avoid walking into the camera in the final cut. In other words, you do it birdemically. Sorry, I really want that to catch on. The editing is one of the most birdemic things in the movie. A good editor can completely turn a shit scene around by altering cadence of dialogue and inference of montage. They can cover for endless mistakes made on set by knowing the rules, what works and what doesn't, and engaging in complex sleight of hand with the audience. A bad editor, on the other hand, can do this.
Hi.
Here's the menu.
Thank you.
I'll be right back with you.
So while enjoying his meal, Rod notices Natalie, and when she departs, he follows. Would you not pay for your food in Vietnam, James? Oh wait, is that insensitive? It turns out they went to the same high school, and in their stilted introductory conversation, they provide a great performative comparison. They're both really bad actors, but both completely different archetypes. Rod is from the roommate forced into your movie school. He delivers every line with the same bland intonation and pitch, like he's reading it all for the first time. The smallest modicum of effort he sometimes puts into intention just makes him more awkward.
Besides, I love my Mustang, which is a plug-in hybrid. It gets 100 mpg. Anyways, I'm thinking about opening up a green tech company.
Natalie, meanwhile, trained at the This Could Be My Big Break Academy. She's disingenuously forcing everything she says with a theatricality that begs us to notice her capital A acting. Maybe as a defensive mechanism, she's focused on demo reel, so she fills every on-screen moment with, look how blank I can be.
Okay. All right. Now, okay, I'll talk to you later. Thank you again. All right. Okay, bye, Christine. Thanks.
When the two methods meet, sparks don't exactly fly, but there is a certain rubberneck fascination about it. James billed Birdemic as a romantic thriller, and it is, in fact, exactly half romance and half thriller, split cleanly at the 47-minute mark. That gives us 47 minutes of romance, which, to call a bone-dry glass half full, is at least refreshingly or neurotically optimistic. Which is to say, nothing bad ever happens to anyone. Natalie, after doing the sketchiest modeling gig this side of my garage, wait, that is my garage, is offered a Victoria's Secret cover girl position. Michael Bay shoots all his dialogue on a dolly, right? Rod closes $1 million deal at work.
$1 million.
Awesome, man.
And then the company goes public and nets him, like, billions, and then he gets the idea that solar power should be, like, cheaper and gets all the money in the world forever. And, of course, the two of them are falling pretty hard for each other. Look at this chemistry.
Hi, this is for you.
Thanks, that's sweet.
You ready?
Rod is totally smitten.
She's my hot Ferrari.
And even his friends' relationships are glass smooth sailing.
Maya and I gotta get back to work, so,
Work?
yeah, you know, sensual work.
If all this sounds in the slightest bit entertaining, remember that you're watching it for 47 minutes. No conflict, no drama, no stakes, just pointless dialogue. James saw Before Sunrise and thought, oh, engendering empathy means having people say things at each other for a long time. Yeah, probably doesn't matter what. The relationship comes to a head after the hormone-frothing stylings of G-rated R&B dancing at the worst bar in whatever state this is. But with consummation comes catastrophe and an implied causation that would be disconcertingly conservative if I believed James had the slightest fucking clue what he was doing. Preaching abstinence with a killer bird metaphor assumes a grasp of metaphor, or implication. Frankly, I don't believe this man even knows what love is, or what making it implies beyond perfunctory toe entwining. Either way, you're rewarded for managing to sit through the romance with all the low-budget thrills you can stomach. Deafening screeches ceaselessly lacerate your eardrums as poorly rendered explosive CGI birds dive-bomb the city. I don't even know why I'm talking. Nothing I can come up with can improve this. Rod and Natalie hang out in their hotel room until the coast is clear, then meet up with another stranded couple and improvise some weapons to get them safely to a van. Wait, consummation, birds, eggs, coat hangers, no, almost. Yeah, anyway, they're caught in the open and forced to defend themselves. The first direct confrontation in a 51-minute runtime. Are you ready to be thrilled? Let's be thrilled. Fortunately, Rod and Natalie's new pals carry automatic weapons in their vans. They manage to escape the city core and drive aimlessly out into the countryside. What follows, in what I guess was supposed to be a harrowing post-apocalyptic road trip, could be magnanimously described as a pointless series of idiotic vignettes. They rescue some kids whose parents have been killed by the birds, though this is forgotten in about 30 seconds thanks to a PSP. Oh, wait, is he saying that... No. Their burglary of a nearby convenience store is cut short by more approaching birds, prompting another cacophonous duet of screeching and automatic weapons fire. Boy, what a dangerous and desolate world it's become. No, wait, picnic on the beach, where an old man lectures the group on the dangers of global warming and man's hubris.
Like the nutrients of girls. So they eventually starve and die, wash up on the shore. It's also evidence that global warming is interrupting the birth, mating, and migration cycles of many...
I think. Anyway, it leads to some fairly profound moments of self-reflection.
Pretty good at shitting. How come you're still on the Marines?
I just got tired of all the fucking killing in Iraq. Why can't we just get peace a chance?
Yeah, go see how the homicidal birds respond to that. Yeah, well, you gave it a chance. From here on, the set pieces just go sharply down or uphill depending on your viewpoint. Desperate plea for help from a gas station attendant.
Hi, the Eagles killed our friends. Do you have a phone I could use to call the police?
To a double-crossing cowboy.
You can show me some gas now.
Oh, take it easy, take it easy.
To a pervert tree-dwelling hippie.
So can we play in your treehouse?
Sure!
A meeting which ends with the abruptness of A Winter's Tale.
I hear a mountain lion. I gotta get back to my house.
And an out-of-nowhere forest fire. To be clear, James Nguyen lacks the wherewithal to do anything but pay awkward lip service to an Earth-first philosophy, but he even manages to fuck up something so simple by pairing his supposedly ideal lifestyle with mountain lions and fire. Finally, out of gas and with nowhere left to go, our heroes sit on the beach and try to eat seaweed. The profundity of this act is lost on me, but there's gotta be some metaphorical implication because all of a sudden all the birds just leave in a final shot that is obstinately extended, daring you with each passing moment to just switch it off. Well, I guess he did make up the majority of those names. So, again, why Birdemic? It would seem as though any asshole with a camera could fire this off in a weekend. Is that all it takes? Is notoriety just luck of the draw in this oversaturated landscape? Well, yes and no. No one can argue that the freedom of creative distribution the internet has gave us has resulted in a meritocracy, whichever end of the spectrum you want to look at. It's a nice thought, but it runs counter to the realities of human nature. It is possible that in some forgotten corner of some website, there's a movie that tops Birdemic for so bad it's goodness, languishing. But probably not, because you can actually point to a definitive quality in Birdemic that pushes it over the line. I've skirted a lot in previous entries, but let's go ahead and make it official by calling it the theory of tensile contradiction. Yeah, I like it. Vague yet pretentious. If there's a base unit for storytelling, it is probably tension. All it requires is for two elements to exist which create something, anything, between them. That's the essence of narrative, that connection requiring an element of engagement from us. The stronger the tension, the more engaging that amorphous narrative glue is. If you're talking about bad movies, it's easy to come up with a fundamental comparison to determine entertainment value. The middle ground is contradiction. The two elements are how bad the movie is, how bad the movie thinks it is. See the tension? That's what you gotta know about good, bad movies. There are movies that are really bad, but they know they're really bad. They're not so good. There are movies that are pretty good and think they're really good. Again, underwhelming. But there are also movies that think they're bad and they're actually pretty good. And as we've just seen, the most watchable category is movies that are really bad and think they're really good. And Birdemic is the poster boy because it fails so spectacularly on every level but never winks at you and keeps its tongue resolutely out of its cheek for the whole running time. That means that the tension is enormous. One self-deprecating joke, one knowingly absurd moment, it would just snap. Birdemic is so special because the self-deception of its creators is absolute. And as so often happens, sadly, a lot of people just don't get it. Once Birdemic got a reputation, the trailers featured a ridiculous theme song. This is Birdemic! Snap. Now James is working on a sequel.
I thought we were going for Vietnamese.
Come on, we couldn't afford 3D.
Snap. This is the bad movie equivalent of Selling Out, but I mean, can you blame him? It doesn't matter how genuine the applause of those midnight crowds is, on a base level they are still laughing at you. Who wouldn't try to parlay that into something you can be in on? But it doesn't excuse marketers packaging it as a comedy, which betrays total ignorance of their product. Birdemic is only funny because it isn't a comedy. Every step in that direction slackens it. But to end on an uplifting note, think back to the dissemination of motion picture technology from this to this. That's what even makes these miraculous tensile extremes possible. We live in a very fortunate time to be able to witness this sort of thing. And that's why I think Birdemic is the poster child of the digital revolution. Yes, it has also allowed for a lot of brilliant and moving cinema, but that shit's been around. When it comes to emergent creative empowerment, what's endemic is Birdemic.